Paul, how's it going?
Going great. How are you?
I am doing well. That was a Dokken track, Dream Warriors, the title track of the movie we're going to review tonight. I am Jackson with Just Annoyed, and as always, joined by my friend Paul. And Paul, introduce yourself. Where can they find you?
Yeah, I'm Paul. You can find me on the Tales from the Flipside YouTube channel, as well as here with Jackson, Bored and Annoyed, and Downright Nerdy podcast on our weekly move to Sunday nights now for our movie reviews.
Yeah, and I think this weekend we are reviewing The Green Mile, which, funny enough, has a strong connection to this movie. Frank Darabont, who directed The Green Mile, also directed Shawshank, was big in creating The Walking Dead. He was a co-writer on the script for this movie. So kind of interesting factoid there. But yeah, it's Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. This is a fan favorite of the franchise. People love this one. What did you think?
Oh, yeah. It blew number 2 out of the water.
Yeah, this is a fun movie. It's kind of a different circumstance. It's like it takes place in a mental hospital, basically, with all these kids. Everybody thinks they're crazy. It's got a cool aesthetic, like all the different dream sequences are neat. Very different from the original still, I would say, in tone. But yeah, what did you think? Like, what were your thoughts on it as you were watching it before we kind of go into the plot?
No, I thought it was great. I think it definitely helped you forget about number 2, continue the story in a perfect way from number 1. And I thought it was really well done. Some familiar faces. Breakout movie for the main character,
Patricia Arquette. Yeah, and Lawrence Fishburne is in this. I believe in the credits he's Larry Fishburne actually in this.
Oh, that's funny.
So, but yeah, this is plot is essentially that. There is kind of a rash of suicide attempts, is how I read it. And all these kids are claiming that they are seeing shit in their dreams. They all get put in a mental institution. And you have a whole, what's neat about this one, I think, is that there's a whole cast of very different characters. And they all have kind of a different thing going on with them. And essentially, Freddy starts picking them off one by one. And that's the essential plot.
And it's because they are the last kids of Elm Street, which I thought was cool because it's kind of like, why is he here? And they don't leave that as an open-ended, just because he wants to kill more kids.
Right. They're the last of the Elm Street children. Now they don't really go into how Nancy knows that. Because I guess that's another thing is this one sees the return of Nancy to the story. And I thought that was well handled. I guess it would make sense that she's kind of somebody that's has a passion for helping kids and is an expert on pattern nightmares or whatever. We also get her dad is back in this one. And this is just I love this movie. I think this one is super fun.
The effects were awesome as well.
That was one thing watching it. There's only one effect in this that I don't think holds up, and it's the skeleton, like the Ray Harryhausen Clash of the Titans style skeleton that pops up. But yeah, this one's fun. This is also where Robert Englund really steps into his own as the character who he would become. I mean, this is quintessential classic Freddy. He's funny. He's got a bunch of one-liners, and you learn a lot more about his lore in this one. So,
can I derail us a little bit and share my screen? Unless you know what I'm talking about, I'll just share my screen because I couldn't find it on Google, so I took a screenshot of it. This poster, sorry it's so small.
Yes.
I couldn't find it on Google, but anyway, I was that's the first thing I saw, and it pulled it out, and it kind of set it up as like, is this going to be like a goofy funny, or I didn't know what kind of, like, it almost looks like a musical poster to me because of just the way he's dressed and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. because I looked it up and there was so many different posters for it. Was that the original?
No,
Or
so the original would be this, like what I used for the graphic here. And that's, you know, that's something to talk about with these movies too. If you get a chance to look at all the posters for these, I mean, the 80s horror like artwork is fucking awesome. I mean, it's totally stylistic. None of the characters actually look like this. Right. But yeah, it's great. I can't say enough about this. Kills. There's some creative kills in this movie.
Very creative.
And one in particular is lauded as a classic, funny moment, and that would be this one.
Can I ask you something?
Certainly.
Who gives a fuck what you think?
It, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. Welcome to prime time, bitch.
That's great. Yeah, so many things they could have done to not make it amazing. And they didn't do it. They didn't do anything wrong. So, for instance, his arms could have been just his arms, but they made it, you know, robot, and he didn't pop through when he came out of the TV. Like, it sucked in. It's just odd. And
it's perfect, and it's funny because it's a horror movie, and you would think they had to have known that they were towing that line of like, okay, we're going too far with this, but they managed to make it fun. And I think you care enough about the characters to actually be invested in what's happening with pretty much every character in the movie. I mean, I don't, that one was probably my least favorite of the kids, I guess, but I don't think she lasted as long as most of them. But yeah, you kind of get to know them. So her deal was she is a wannabe actress who essentially, you know, everybody's like, yeah, sure, you're going to go to Hollywood and be an actress or whatever. So she would watch TV at night, and in order to stay up, she would put cigarettes out on her arms. So like little touches like that I think really make a difference in this. You know, and that's not the only one. One of my you know, favorite probably kills in the entire series, just because of how gruesome it is this one here.
Fella, wake up. Have a nice stroll, asshole.
Yeah, so I cut off the end. I mean, these are going a little long, but I feel like they're fucking awesome, and I could watch them over and over.
Yeah, that one got me. Like, if you've seen Black Swan, I think was the name of the movie, where she has that hangnail, and it's just like you can feel that one.
Yes. Yeah, and it's props to the writers of this script, because that's a interesting idea. I mean, he in this movie, he does things that are supernatural. He's in dreams. He's not just a guy chasing you around, and it still works. That one in particular, he's like a marionette, just puppet master controlling the guy. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. You talked about the effects. Most of them hold up. I looked up the budget, and apparently there wasn't like a gigantic budget for this either. So I guess practical effects will do that. But yeah, was there an effect you liked the most in this movie?
There were two. I really liked in the beginning when the faucets turned into his hands. I liked the attention to detail where the pipes were bones, like actual bones of the arm. I like that. And then I really liked later, you might have a clip of the nurse kill.
The nurse kill. Oh, tongue-tied. I don't have a clip because I didn't know what I could get away with, but I do have this image, which is fun. Yeah, so to set her up, now Joey is the mute character who is like smitten for this nurse that works at the hospital. And like they run this thing, and it's a really well set up scene. They basically run like a hypnosis group where they're going to put everybody to sleep. One of the characters has a power where she can pull other people into the dream. And we can talk about that in a second too. I think that's kind of a interesting thing, is how this expands on. It's like the perfect sequel in that it builds on all of the things from the previous movie. But yeah, so he sees her, and she like calls him in and says, "Hey, I'm really in love with you," or whatever, and starts making out with him, and then starts shooting tongues at his limbs to tie him to the bed. And that was a scene where when I was a kid, that was like, oh my God, this is amazing, like boobs, But yeah, that's a good effect.
Yeah, I didn't know when that scene would reveal Freddy. I thought maybe when he unzipped her nurse outfit, it'd be like an all burnt back. And then when she was getting on top of him, I thought maybe her, from your angle on top, you would see her back rip open to like show burnt skin or something. They did it really well though. What I liked most about that is towards the end of the scene, when he's tied on all fours, that the tongues are still moving. I thought the little attention to detail added so much to that scene.
Well, and
we've just static.
We've talked about this so many times. Like, these things still look so much better when they're practical. As goofy as they look, they just work better. You know what I mean? The expanding on the lore thing is huge, because we do get, not only do we introduce like, oh, this is a neat idea. Essentially, the name of the movie is Dream Warriors because every character in the movie has like a special ability when they get into their dream, right? So one of them's like a nerdy wizard master guy. One of them is strong as hell. One of them can pull other people into the dream and do gymnastics. One of them can talk. I don't know who I'm forgetting.
which sounds generic as heck, but how that scene plays out is he's the mute character, but in the dream he's kind of like man, I can't remember the comic book character who's
Black Canary.
No, he's from the is he from the Inhumans guy who anyway he his voice is extremely amplified, so he could, like, even a whisper would blow cars out of the street. But anyway, so he screams and breaks all the mirrors in this one hallway, and that's how they get Freddy to go away for a little bit.
That's a hell of an effect in that scene too. Like all the kids being pulled into the different, like, nowadays that would probably be easy for them to pull off, but I would imagine at the time that was difficult. Now you mentioned not knowing when Freddy was going to like reveal himself. He apparently, when they first wrote this, the idea was to have like he morphs into her and it's like a, her body with Freddy's head or some shit. I can't remember why they didn't go with that. Maybe because it was just too goofy or whatever, but I think it's kind of a neat idea. Or if she just had burns all over or something,
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it reminded him too much of number two's possession theme, and they wanted to stay away from that.
No mention of 2 whatsoever.
Nope.
In this. 2 does not
Nope.
exist anymore.
The only link is the house, and that's it.
Yep.
To set the movie up a little bit, at the beginning is the main character, and she's building this paper mache popsicle stick house of Nancy's house, and she just says, "I don't know, it's the house I see in my dreams." So that's her link to it. And they did what did they do in her scene? I think it was in that dream sequence. They had the oil slick floor instead of the marshmallow floor or marshmallow stairs.
They did kind of recycle that.
Yeah.
Where she's running away. But I mean, that is like, if something was going to happen in a dream world, I think that one kind of makes sense. Like
right.
you're running and you can't stop running. Now, as far as effects, my favorite effect, what impresses me the most is probably this one here. So that
whole room thing.
Yeah, that happens pretty early in the movie, and that I can imagine when it came out, people were like, "Wow, this is something different," and it still works. But yeah, the fact that they zoom in on the face and he talks, and it's just really fucking cool. But yeah.
Kristen, I'm sorry, I mixed it up. It was Kristen who's building that house.
Yes, Kristen.
She's the blonde actress, the Patricia Arquette.
Yep, Patricia Arquette, and she went on to be like an Oscar winner. She's the Johnny Depp of this this movie. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just looking at the list. Jennifer Rubin looked familiar. I think she looked like just someone a relative of mine. But yeah, we mentioned. Lawrence Fishburne was the other long-term breakout character, I think.
Yeah, and poor man's Bill Maher. That one guy just looks exactly like Bill Maher to me, the doctor.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, he's trying to bang his intern, it seems. Like, you know me, I'm always looking for the sexual tension.
They kind of, I was, I forgot about that. They kind of alluded to them getting close-ish. They went to dinner. I don't know whose apartment they were at, or was that at the institution? I couldn't tell because they were on a couch by a fire.
It was her house because she had like that dream doll, right? And he asks about it, and it keeps bad dreams away. Now, I do think it's important to talk about the lore expansion on Freddy Krueger here. So
definitely.
we learn a really dark, twisted, fucked up thing about Freddy Krueger. Throughout the movie, the Bill Maher character, he starts seeing this nun, and she's kind of just like this mysterious woman who's like around in certain scenes, and he talks to her or whatever. And there is a scene in here where we take what we know about Freddy and we expand on it. And I'm going to play that because I actually really like this scene.
This wing's been closed for years. What was this place?
Purgatory, fashioned by the hands of men. Twisted, lonely souls. The worst of the criminally insane. We're locked up in here like animals.
This whole facility was shut down in the 40s, wasn't it? Some sort of scandal?
A young girl on the staff was accidentally locked in here over the holidays. inmates kept her hidden for days. She was raped hundreds of times. When they found her, she was barely alive and with child. That girl was Amanda Kruger. Her child, Freddy, the bastard son of 100 maniacs. Some say he was murdered, though no body was ever found.
Yeah. The bastard son of 100 maniacs. What a great line.
Yeah, whoever wrote that, I mean, that is fucking awesome. And he is a bastard, like in every sense of the word. He's not only a bastard in that he doesn't have a father. Nobody helped raise this kid with Amanda or whoever. But he's like your prototypical, like that bastard. You know, he's always fucking with you or whatever. But yeah, what'd you think of that whole addition?
I thought it was great. I was interested why she was elderly versus a young woman, but I think that must be because later in the film it's revealed that unless you have another way of setting it up, who the nun is.
Yes, the nun is Amanda Kruger.
Yeah, so I think it's her elderly ghost. Like she's the nun, so she must have probably I assume she gave him up to an orphanage, and she went on to be a nun to maybe try and find peace with life, maybe, and died at an old age. That's why it was an older actress. That's just my guess. I don't.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a picture of her gravestone. Okay, so she lived from hold on, Sister Mary Helena. Okay, so she lived from 1907 to 1968.
Yeah.
So she was 61 years old. I guess that works, right? When she died. And this is her ghost, essentially, that is around now. Yeah, I can't, and you know what's funny? I feel like a novice Freddy guy, but I can't remember if we learn more about what she did with Freddy. I feel like she just knew he was evil from the moment. I mean, that would be a pretty fucked up way to have a kid, right? You know?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I love, you know, that is there's sequels are supposed to get bigger and expand on lore in an interesting way. And this one does that, while the second Nightmare movie did nothing with it whatsoever, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that. There are a couple more, or there's another part that I think is neat too, that kind of expands on him. And it's the whole bit with the souls of the children.
Oh, yeah.
Strong. You've never been this strong.
Yes. The souls of the children. Give me strength.
He's room for more.
Yeah, you were gonna say. You're gonna say.
Oh no, just yeah. And at the end, that's all I was gonna say. But at the end of that clip, he changes his voice a little bit. Like he's just excited. Like he's. I think he's excited to show Nancy how powerful he is and why he's powerful. Just to make it even worse. I did like how I thought he was going to use that bar to kill the kid he's holding, but he throws it away. So I like how they don't follow, what you might think would happen next.
Right. Yeah. And on that note, a few people survive this. It's not your typical everybody dies except for the one character, right? I mean, and it also expands on getting killed by him sucking, because you've got to assume that like those people, all these victims are trapped there.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, there's another thing. He gets more powerful the more people he kills. So yeah, a lot of creativity in this movie. A lot of good one-liners in this movie. And yeah, are you a fan of the one-liner wisecracking Freddy, or do you like the idea of him just being a malevolent asshole who, you know?
Yeah, I think they both work well. It just depends on the situation. Like when he kills the mom, when he kills Kristen's mom in the dream, and he cuts her head off, and he's like, "Where?" Or it's him. Sorry, the mom gets pulled through the doorway. Oh, sorry.
I had the most awful dream.
Lane, where do you keep the bourbon?
I'll be right down.
Chris, I've got a guest.
Please, Mom, I just don't want to be alone.
I said, where's the fucking bourbon?
You should listen to your mother.
God damn it, Kristen, you ruin everything. Every time I bring a man home, you spoil it. You know what your shrink says? You're just trying to get a little attention.
I think it's great. The talking head added so much to that scene where they could have just, done a cheap prop of the mom with the eyes rolled back or something. But that's great. Yeah, that was awesome.
On my my Facebook page, they used to. I don't even know if it's still there, but they used to have like a little section where about me and you fill stuff out, and that was my quote: was "Where's the fucking bourbon?" And it's just fucking awesome because. Yeah, they set up that the mom is kind of like a derelict asshole who like brings men home and pays more attention to going out and getting drunk with men than she does her daughter. And then Freddy just uses it against her. And the line is great, the delivery is great. Robert Englund he's a charismatic dude, and you can tell he is just into this shit at all times. And yeah, it just adds overall to the whole thing, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful.
Yeah, and there's one more one-liner I want to get out because it's also one of my favorites. Until next week when I'm sure he has more that I've forgotten about that are great. But yeah, I love this scene too.
Uncle Bone Terror. Look familiar.
Okay, asshole. Let's dance.
Why should we fight? We're old friends, you and I. Remember?
Let's get high.
Did he say let's get hot?
No, let's get high. Let's get high.
Oh, let's get high.
Yeah,
okay.
Let's get high.
That was beautiful. I wasn't expecting the
little like
yeah.
and that's another character they set up really well. She's heroin addict who ends up in this place, and there's a good scene with one of the like pig RNs or whatever at the place who kind of like tries to get her to come to the drug stash at the hospital, and he uses it against her. Pretty much every kill, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like every kill is rather personalized to their victim, right? I mean,
yeah, I think jumping back just a little bit, I liked how Freddy kind of looked up, like almost he didn't know, he almost doesn't know where he's going to jump in some, at least in that scene, like he didn't know where he was, and then like all of a sudden maybe he just knows right away because he can read their mind or whatever quickly. He's like, oh, okay, yeah, remember this? Like we're old friends, and he just uses it against him I think it's awesome how the scenes are personalized, like the kid in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
And they're almost all their own main characters, which really adds to the movie too.
That's interesting you bring that up, because does Freddy create the world that they're in, or does he just infiltrate the dream that they're already having, right?
Yeah. I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, so that's an interesting idea. So we've got the heroin addict dies from the drug overdose. We've got Joey getting killed or being captured, I should say, by the woman who he's obsessed with. The one girl gets killed by the TV. I'm trying to think. There's got to be the guy who sleepwalks. They set him up as a sleepwalker. So it's all really well thought out. It's a good script. It's goofy without it's still a little disturbing. It's a very fun movie though. It's fun, you know. I guess the last thing to talk about on this would be the one thing that I don't think works very well, which is the way they kill Freddy. And that is that they...
I didn't know if you had a clip. Sorry.
No, you're good. No, go ahead. No, go for it. I suppose I should prep you with the clips. I really should.
It's all good. No, it's all good.
I'm running an amateur operation here, obviously.
So what comedian did you call him? The Bill Maher.
Bill Maher, yeah.
Bill Maher doctor. They go to find Nancy's dad in the bar. Because he can't get over, his wife's death, but he's still a police officer. But he knows where Freddy's bones are, so they have to get rid of the bones to kill Freddy. And so they have a little fight scene, yada yada. But he ends up putting holy water on the bones, and then saying basically a little seance with the cross.
Yeah, he basically, the Amanda Kruger nun character explains that he has to be buried in hollow ground, essentially.
Which is not a car dump.
Right. Yes, a car dump. So that was kind of neat too. They go to this car dump.
I've never heard it called a car dump. I don't know.
No, yeah, it's not a car dump. I forget the name of it. A junkyard. Yeah. A car dump.
Man.
But the worst part is when you said car dump, I just went with it. I didn't I'm not questioning it. It's a car dump. All that was there was cars. So, they go to the car dump. We'll just continue calling that. And essentially, Nancy's dad is the only one who knows where it is. And they have a nice little character bit with Nancy and her dad, where it's like, he's just a drunk piece of shit, who is still just frustrated because he refuses to believe her about Freddy. And they go bury it. But the thing that's perplexing to me is it confuses the rules a bit for me, because I don't understand why Freddy, he at one point inhabits the bones in the real world and attacks them. And I feel like it was just an excuse to put a set piece in the movie. Did that work for you, or
No, not really. I don't know how else they could have done it. I don't know how else they could have done it with them knowing where his bones were and finding them and then moving forward with that. But unless they, I don't know. It's a good way to wrap the series up, which obviously they didn't.
Right.
Because that's generally how the final kill is with bone.
Wait until you see how they bring him back in the next movie.
Oh, geez. But Nancy's dad dies in the car dump.
Yep. He finally has to accept it, and he gets basically thrown up against old caddy, or what kind of car was it? I don't remember, but one of the real old old style
Big Finn.
Yeah, Big Finn, right, exactly. He gets thrown up, killed there. Then the Bill Maher character does Freddy in. But before Freddy gets done in, he does kill Nancy.
Yeah.
So, so that's an interesting move by the director. I feel like there was more that they could have done with Nancy down the road. They could have made her a recurring character for the series, but they elected not to do that. But I guess pass the torch on to the next person, right?
Yeah. I can't remember if and I just finished the movie tonight, but if I'm calling stuff car dumps, I guess that explains my mindset right now. Anyway, did the kid who was a mute, who was in the coma, did he survive? Did he wake up, or did he have a death too?
No, he did survive because he is in the Hall of Mirrors and he screams and breaks the mirrors, and then Freddy pretends to be Nancy's dad and hugs Nancy and kills her. So the surviving characters are Kristen, Kincaid, and Joey. They're the survivors.
They don't show Joey out of the coma, do they? You just have to put the pieces together that he survived and came out of it. I think
so. Yeah.
Okay. I did like when Nancy was visiting him that Freddy scratched "Come get me, bitch." In his
Yes. Like, dude, the character is so fucking awesome. I mean, I guess back to the thing where it's like, I get that there's a loose, you can kind of make the leap that he's a pedophile, but he really doesn't necessarily come off that way. Right. He seems like just a sick, twisted murderer. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's funny that he's likable. I mean, it's very bizarre. And I guess, comparing it to Jason, like, you're rooting for Jason too, but I mean, let's not get it twisted when you watch these. It's these old slashers with these characters. It's very interesting that you're rooting for them in a sense, right? Yeah. Like, they're the ones you want on screen. They're the ones you want to watch most of the time. And I wonder how much screen time he even has in the movie, to be honest. Like,
yeah, that's a good question. I wonder. I think it's because they're the wild card. Like, you don't know what the heck they're going to do next, and you don't know what the characters are going to do next to try and get out of it. And I think it's that tug of war in your brain that's like, well, I want to see more Freddy. Right. And what he's going to say, of course, because he's
fucking great. I mean, just the one-liners we've got. Welcome to prime time, bitch. You come and get me, bitch. Let's get high. Oh, what a rush. I mean, shit. Where's the fucking bourbon or whatever he says. I mean, yeah, he's hilariously funny. And it doesn't surprise me. I loved him as a kid, and it doesn't surprise me that kids like him because he's like a colorful character, Right. So, I mean, great performance by Robert Englund. I think everyone's pretty good in the movie. Now, Kristen does come back, but Patricia Arquette doesn't. So enjoy that.
They do one of those, huh?
Yes. And I met the new Kristen at a convention last year. Let's just say she may or may not have had a lot of work done since.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but I don't think Patricia Arquette's too into the horror convention circuit. I can't imagine that she would be.
She did what was that show? She did something with ghosts and stuff. I mean, she was in like a long-running paranormal movie or show. It wasn't Ghost Whisperer, I don't think. I thought that was Jennifer Love Hewitt. But anyway, I mean, she didn't like completely diverge from that entire genre.
Right.
In my opinion. I wonder why she didn't come back for number 2 or number 3.
I think it was money, and she got some roles. Honestly, at this time in the history of New Line, they were a bunch of cheap asses.
Yeah.
I mean, they made these things on like shoestring budgets, and they made them in like 8 months. Like, as soon as, by the time this came out, the next one was out. I think the next one, and we can kind of discuss this next week, but the next one, I'm pretty sure they finished the movie like a day before it was released in theaters. So, yeah. So
we'll see how that affects it. Yeah, I don't know. Don't
I won't
spoil it for me. We'll see.
I won't. I mean, this is a high point for the series, but I really think this is an awesome movie. I like, even compared to other horror movies. It's not just an awesome Freddy movie to me. I really, really, really like this one. So,
and you can still watch it without having number 1 under your belt too.
Totally. I would imagine this was a great introduction of the character to people. I can't say enough good things about it. I mean, final thoughts. You really liked it, it sounds like.
Yeah, no, I thought it was really well done. It has to have the cliffhanger ending. But I thought it was great. Very amazing effects, great cast. All the characters were fairly decent. I think my least favorite character was the girl who died by the TV. I don't know if she just didn't get much. She was dead before you could like her or really hate her for that matter. But I like the fact that all the characters are their own main character and they all work together. And I think it has to do with the fact that each contribute something individually to the story, but also their dream powers.
Yes. Yeah, and the message of like we can't take him on alone, right?
Right.
It's something that hadn't been tried in the previous movies of like, hey, let's see what we can do as a team here.
Mhm.
And and as far as the sting at the end of this, it's just the light in the house turning on, right?
Yeah, it was
The model house.
Yeah, the doctor sleeping with the little Nancy's doll, dream doll next to the house, and then it lights up.
That poor guy, he never got Nancy in the movie, huh? He never locked that down.
Yeah, I don't think not specifically. I don't know what happened after dinner.
I suppose we cut away from that, didn't we? Maybe he did. Maybe
he asked how the dream doll works, and they.
Yeah, that's very true. I'll give you some good dreams. Yeah, that's not creepy at all.
Well, and Nancy's on that medication, which
Hypnosil. That's another thing they add.
Yeah, kind of played a plot point to it because the medicine that she's on, she drops her purse, the doctor finds it. It lets you sleep, but it blocks you from having dreams. So then she convinces the doctor to give the kids the medicine, and I think was that the end of it, because they had the group sleep scene and then the kid ended up in the coma, and then that's how it came to light. He gave him the medicine, and the head doctor.
Oh yeah, she's a bitch. Fuck that lady. Yeah. You got to have her though too. She's a strong character. But yes, they give the medicine and then they blame them because Joey goes into a coma. They blame it on the medicine. So,
oh, you're right. Yep. So they tied that up well, and they tied.
Yeah, although if they're giving them the medicine, why can they dream?
They dream during that group session, and I assume they give them the medicine at night. So this is a perfect dream versus I don't want to get attacked.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. And by the way, we haven't done this yet as far as what your prediction is for total kills. But so far, we've got 4 in the first movie. We have 11 in the second movie. And we've got 6 in this movie. So that would bring us to 21 kills. Where do you think this is going to end, Paul?
Oh, how many movies are in the series? In the proper 8, 10?
So in the original series, not including Nightmare on Elm Street. Wow. Well. Okay, so this is interesting because we might have to edit our Jason kill count at the end too, because I would consider Freddy versus Jason part of that series. So yeah, in the original Nightmare series, there are 7, 8 if you count Freddy versus Jason, and 9 if you count the remake. So we'll go with 7. We'll go with the first 7.
I'll do 54. I'll say like 7-ish kills a movie.
So we're at 21. Everybody note that Paul is in on 54, and we will actually just go ahead and add that to the video because I will forget it. And we will go ahead and say 54. So that's on the video. If I need to find it, I will come and look back. So 54 is the guess. I'm not going to cheat. I'm not going to say. I don't know exactly, but yeah, that'll be fun to follow. Paul, once again, where can everybody find you?
Find me on the Tales from the Flipside YouTube channel, and then our our weekly movie review with Jackson here on Bored and Annoyed, and then Downright Nerdy podcast YouTube channel.
Yep, and make sure you go watch the Downright Nerdy podcast on Sunday night. We don't ever know what time it's going to be at, but it's usually around 7-ish Central Time. So yeah, watch that for a review of what the hell did I say? Green Mile. Which, yeah. So, Paul, you ready to dedicate 3 hours and 15 minutes of your life this week to a homework assignment? That's a long one, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think this has got to be the longest one we've watched, right?
Patton might be as long. Patton, I don't know. It could be close, but I know Patton is long.
Until Lawrence of Arabia.
Yeah, eventually. It'll happen. Now, Patton was great, though. So,
oh, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm Jackson with Just Annoyed. Still hosting this on the Bored and Annoyed YouTube channel, though. Don't know what I'm going to do about branding or anything like that. Of course, it'll probably be 2 years before I figure something out. But thanks again for listening. If you're listening online or on a podcast platform, reminder to go subscribe on YouTube. Obviously, those clips are better when you can see them. So, always welcome to come join in on the chat here and leave some comments. So everybody have a good night and tune in next week. We seem to have Wednesdays as the night. So assume it's going to be next Wednesday night at 10 or 9 Eastern time for Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master.